Welcome back to Young NFL Analyst, and today we're going to be talking about the Indianapolis Colts defense. The Indianapolis Colts defense is one of the top defenses in the league. What did it do last year? It allowed 21.5 games. Does it really matter? It does, because you're bringing in a lot of the same guys. But you are losing your defensive coordinator, Matt Eberflus, as one of those coaches who was able to progress in his career and become a head coach for the Chicago Bears. Now looking at your defensive side now. Who is the defensive coordinator? Gus Bradley. What is Gus Bradley known for? His days as the Chargers coach, his days as the Raiders coach, and now his days going to be the Indianapolis Colts defensive coordinator, right? So you're looking at Kwity Paye, DeForest Buckner, and Yannick Ngakoue as your main three defensive linemen. Those will be your guys who get your sack numbers, who allow for a difficult time for that offense to run the ball and pass the ball. So now looking at your linebackers. What are your linebackers' jobs in this 4-3 that Gus Bradley is going to run? Well, one of the main things they're going to do is stop the run. You have the guys on the outside who are supposed to contain the outside run as your defensive ends, and then your inside linebackers that they normally run to, since they like the nickel so much, it'll be two guys who are allowed to run full head of steam into the A and B gap and C and moving outward, right? So now you have a guy in Darius Leonard who's your all-pro, one of the best linebackers in football. In my opinion, I think he is the best middle linebacker in pro football. And then you have Bobby Okereke, who is one of those smart linebackers who can also wrap up very well and has a high tackling IQ. Now, what does that do? That allows your defensive line to get to the passer. That allows your linebackers to get to the runner and play a lot faster, freer, because everyone's doing their job, and you have trust across those six guys in that. Now looking at your corners. You have Stephon Gilmore on the outside, you have Isaiah Rodgers on the other side, and you have Kenny Moore in the slot. Why is that important? Kenny Moore is probably the best slot corner in pro football. In my opinion, he is. Then you have a guy in Stephon Gilmore on the outside who is one of the best corners in football. And then you have a guy like Isaiah Rodgers who's going to be allowed safety help. Now, who's that safety help coming from? You got your rookie out of Maryland, Nikki Cross. You've got Julian Blackmon. You've got Rodney McLeod. Those will be your main three safeties that'll rotate throughout into your defense. And then you have a guy like Armani Watts who will come in there and play special teams. Now looking at those three safeties, you have Julian Blackmon returning, and then the other two you have Rodney McLeod, who is a former Philadelphia Eagle, and then you have Nikki Cross, who's a rookie this year. Now, focusing on Stephon Gilmore. What has made Stephon Gilmore one of those top corners? Well, when he was at his best, he played for what team? The New England Patriots. What was great about the New England Patriots? The New England Patriots could beat you in a number of different ways. So what did it force you to do? It forced you to play into their hands. So they could pass the ball, they could run the ball. Tom Brady could do it either way. Now with this Colts offense, they don't have Tom Brady, but they do have Matt Ryan and they do have Jonathan Taylor. So they do have a better run game than what New England normally does. And they also have a quarterback who is very good and has actually played Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Now, that outcome didn't end in his way, but he was up 28-3 on Tom Brady. That's just a point to Matt Ryan. Now, Stephon Gilmore, it's going to allow him to make a play on the ball. And because he's allowed to just play corner and doesn't have to focus on the run game as much because of those linebackers in the defensive line I've already stated, it allows him to focus on the football on whoever he's guarding, whether in the AFC South, that is Marvin Jones, that's Michael Pittman, that's Treylon Burks or Robert Woods, whoever he's going one-on-one with, because he will be a guy who does travel. It allows him to revive his career like a former Indianapolis Colt, Xavier Rhodes. He was with Minnesota, and he was one of the top corners. He was guarding Antonio Brown, and everyone loved him, and then he had one horrible year. Then he went to the Indianapolis Colts on a cheap one-year deal, revived his career, had a great year, and now he's a serviceable cornerback that people look at rather than what they had seen him as before, which was just another corner who had come to the downslope of his career. That is why I believe the Indianapolis Colts will be one of the scariest teams in pro football, and you do not want to play them when it comes December. When the playoffs come around, they are going to be one of the scariest teams in pro football to go up against. And when you have a guy like Frank Wright who's willing to go for it, and when you have a guy like Matt Ryan and these guys, they're one of the scariest and in my opinion, a dark horse team to win the Super Bowl.